Thank you, Ariel. I love that picture. It speaks 1,000 words, and you could actually use that in your lessons. And you could debrief that picture in so many ways, especially on compassion, humanity, and etc. Right? He committed suicide out of guilt, that he couldn't have done what any human should do. Yeah, right. Now, so a lot of tips that we have covered for all of you here. Now, this one is quite makes the most out of what you're here for. 4 practical steps to successful teaching, and I'm sure you could relate to that. I'm sure you have your own ways of doing things, but basically it's very simple, provided you've got everything ready, all your tools, your methodology, and etc. Do you see in your page 11 of your workbook? Now it says here 4 practical steps, but in the book it only has step 1, 2, and 3. Step 3 is actually practice, and step 4 is deliver the lesson. Yeah, and yes, yeah. Step 4 is deliver the lesson. Okay. Right. Yesterday, I think during OBE, you've looked at lesson plans. Yeah. So now everybody has a view of what lesson plan is. It's basically your organizer. It organizes the lesson for the day. Yeah, what you need to do, what you need to cover, topic by subtopic. Every subtopic has an exercise, an activity related to it, instructional methodology. Yeah, so you know what a lesson plan is. I don't have to cover that. Now, what is the difference between lesson plan and a learning plan? That learning plan is what will make you different from anybody else outside of this room. Right? As far as learning plan is concerned, if you still remember this format, yeah, the columns, it stops until what column? The last column on the right side of your lesson plan stops at instructional methods. You remember? Or delivery? Yeah, delivery. It can be, you put that group discussion, you put there lecture, tutorials, okay. That is as far as the medium, the platform of doing it. Now a learning plan has 3 more columns next to that and added to that format. Yeah, I'll show you what that is later. Now, structure of a lesson, you know it already because that's in the lesson plan. Everybody knows what Bloom's taxonomy is. Hands up. So we'll not cover that. What's the latest version of Bloom's taxonomy right at the top? Right at the end of it. Sorry. The last one, creating, that's the latest one. Before that was analysis or something like that, right? So creativity is the latest version of Bloom's taxonomy. Alright? And I'm sure in your lesson plan, the program outcomes or course of outcomes have detailed what kind of words that you need to use for the students to achieve at the end of the course. So I get nodding here, so you know what I mean. Right. Now first, very simple. For first step, is set clear objectives. If you were to look at the front, the initial part of the workbook, can you just turn over and look at page that says program objectives. First page, second page, program objectives. Now, clear objectives. Yeah. And you use verbs, right? You know that already. Okay, and this is what we want. Yeah, for any of your lessons or anything. If you're going to deliver a presentation for a seminar or conferences, your objectives must be clear and to the point. Yeah, and this helps to get yourself prepared and for your audience to understand, okay, this is what we're going to learn, this is what we're going to achieve. Alright? And again, looking at Bloom's taxonomy, these are the sample of verbs that you know already. Yeah? And here, the little green box here is would look at how a planning of a lesson is. You see a diagram of burger, right? Could you look at the burger diagram? Who likes to eat burgers here? Hands up. How many of you don't eat burgers? But you've cooked burgers before? Okay. Now, I like to have a burger outline there. It's a basic lesson outline. Some people use the skeleton, the fish skeleton bone outline. It's simply like a presentation outline where you have an intro, the body, and the conclusion. So basic practical lesson flow would be, at the top would be the introduction, where you introduce the lesson, right? With attention-getting statement like jokes, stories, videos, pictures, something to get them excited. But then you relate it to the lesson objective for the day. And then what's in the middle? You see tomatoes and probably lettuce and the meat. Those are the content. Alright? And at the end of the lesson, you need to a closure, the conclusion. You need to have a consolidation of points. Okay, everybody, what have you understood from the day's lesson? Wrapping up, and then you get people to contribute. We learned about this summarizing, helping you to summarize, get them to contribute. Then you will understand. Okay, yes. Not quite. Were you here throughout the lesson? This kind of thing. You can correct their understanding if they don't quite get it. Consolidate, making it into a nice summary for the lesson. And then call for action. We're going to look at that later. Call for action is, okay, so what is next in the lesson for next lecture or next week is you've got to prepare for chapter 2. So please go into the e-learn. This is the chapters that you need to read up. Call for action, jangan lupa. What does it mean? What is jangan lupa? Don't forget. Don't forget, these are the things that you need to prepare by the next lesson. Okay? Then they will be prepared and next lesson will be? Yes. That's also flip learning. You get them to prepare themselves here so that lecturing won't be so hard. Yeah? And you could minimize the time to lecture. Alright? Basic lesson for the day, the flow of the lesson. Okay? Why is it important for us to look at this aspect? Why is it important? Yes. Once upon a time, I was the Director of Center for Foundation Studies, UniKL. So one of the briefing I have to do every time is during registration week, right? So that's the day when I have to sit in front there at College Mara Kuala Nerang and College Mara Kulim. So here I was, in front they've set a table with the top management of the college and I will sit in the middle, you know, the usual thing. And all the parents and the students are there. Right I was on the stage. And one of the program was program Perubatan for Foundation in Science, RCMP. Yeah? I think one of the Muhammad was there, I think, at the time. So we walked on the stage, so I had to go on the stage. And then there was a small step here, alright, leading up to the stage. So here I was, walking, and I was just, I went down. What did I do? Did I get up immediately or did I just stay down there? I stayed down there. For the love of me, I stayed down there. It's a tip. If you fall down, just stay down there. You don't get up and Malu. Stay down there. It was a bad fall. Yeah. So I stayed down there and I pretended. I didn't have to pretend. It was a really bad fall. That I was really hurt. And suddenly there was a loud. There was a silence in the hall. There was a gasp, and everyone was silent. And then one by one, the students, the committee in front there, students came up to help me, the girls. They came up, scrambled up to the stage and they helped me. And I said, oh, okay, thank you. I went, and I said that. I went straight to the podium because I had to give a speech. Here I was at the podium. Everybody, it was so silent, it was deafening, okay? And I just started. That is why we have doctors in the house among our students. Give the students a round of applause, everybody. They proved that they are the doctors and the ones who are compassionate enough to help the needy. That was me. Everybody laughed and everybody clapped. I did that on purpose, I told the audience. But it was a real fall. Yes, cover. I did that on purpose because I just wanted to test the students whether they are doctor material or not. Yeah. And they were all laughing and everything, and then so what do you do? Whatever that has that happened in your class or anything that you have to deliver, you've got to relate it to the situation. So when I looked at the audience, I said, the audience are medical students of RCMP Soon Foundation students. So then I make sure that, okay, whatever that I have in my speech relates to the audience. Think of what my content in terms of how it relates to the audience. And you've got to think on your feet sometimes. That was the worst fall embarrassment that I've ever had in my life, but it was good. It was good for the audience, and the audience loved it and you make it into a joke. Yeah. So care for the audience. You quick thinking, making sure that your topic and your course is relevant to their needs. Yeah. So there comes the point when I was talking about how young doctors nowadays are less and less getting into the groove of real doctors of yesteryears, you know, because they come from privileged families now, so they don't really have the compassion of that. So ibu bapa, parents, yeah, we know that you have high hopes for your students, for your daughters and sons to be doctors, but please instill the compassion in them. Yeah, not just be proud of the white coats. Yeah, emulate the true element of doctors or people from the medical world. So caring for your audience all the time. Jangan short sendiri. What is short sendiri? Do you know what short sendiri? I say, you've got to learn the lingo lah. Yeah. Yes, you are in your own element. You don't know. You can't be bothered what other people think. Yeah. All right. Caring for your audience. So this is the burger again. That's how you develop your learning plan. Alright, now developing a learning plan at the end of the spectrum is the three columns I mentioned, right? What are the three columns? After instructional methods, let's say group discussion. That is for your students, right? That's the medium, the platform for you to do the activity. But the three added learning plan columns is one, the first column is visual, the second one is auditory, the third one you add is kinesthetic. Now, after this, Ariel is going to show us how it's going to be done for a learning plan to happen. It's an addition to what your lesson plan is. It's making your lesson plan more exciting and more meaningful to both parties. Yeah? Ariel, next activity.